So 80 years ago, most ads looked something like this. Check the features, compare the price, supercharge your car, right? Marketers believe that consumers are completely rational, and the only thing they need to make a decision is the facts. But since then, marketing has changed quite a lot, as we've seen before. But a lot of B2B brands and products stayed pretty much the same. It's just that instead of supercharge your car, they say supercharge your enterprise security with AI synergies, or something like that. So today I want to show you two recipes for creating ads that are a little bit more human, engaging, and often even effective. So there are two recipes, each one of them is 3 steps. And before we begin, I just want to quickly introduce myself and tell you how and why I became so obsessed with B2B ads. So I started my career working as a copywriter for some of the biggest consumer brands in Europe. And here's one of the ads we've created for Burger King, Germany. When COVID ended, then we wanted to tell people they can come back to the restaurants and stop improvising tables. So we invited them to come back. But at some point, Berlin got a little bit too cold for me, and I returned to Israel. But I discovered that here, all the cool kids work in tech. So I started using the techniques I've learned during my agency days on B2B startups. And I've noticed something amazing. Fun ads outperform boring ads almost every single time. CTRs was better, engagement was higher, and users were even mentioning the ads during demos. So that was pretty great. And one technique that has worked especially well was this, side-by-side ads or comparison ads, where we show two things next to each other. So this will be our first recipe, and let's see how in 3 steps we can come up with ads just like this. So the first step is, and before the first step, we're going to use Zapier as an example. So Zapier, if you don't know it, it's an automation tool. So as marketers, we can use it to automate our CRM, lead management, different processes and workflows we're doing. And this will be our product as an example. So the first step is to find the benefit of the benefit. And in a second, I'm going to show you what's that, but let's ask for some help from ChatGPT. So I'm asking GPT, create a table of features, benefits, and benefits of the benefits for Zapier. And then I explain one by one. So features are technical, right? These are facts that explain what your product is all about. Benefits, however, are practical, right? Benefits show how each one of those features improves your user's work. And then finally, my favorite part, benefits of the benefits. Here, these are personal, right? We show how those benefits are relevant in our users' actual life, right? In realistic, specific, and relatable situations. So that's the kind of stuff we're looking for. And let's see what ChatGPT gives me. So I get this beautiful table, and this is one of the reasons I like this prompt so much and why I start a lot of my brainstorming sessions with it, because I already have so many ideas, so many different relatable situations that I can use. But let's focus on this feature, no-code automation. So I'm going to zoom in, and let's break it down. So this is the feature. Then we have the benefit. So easily set up complex workflows without tech skills, eliminating hours of manual data entry. Cool, so in simple words, just do less manual, boring work, right? Then we have the benefit of the benefit, and that's the most interesting part. So it's 4:30, and a flood of new leads just came in, but instead of entering each one manually, Zapier's automation already sorted them into your CRM. So with the tedious work done, you grab your bag and head out early, beating the traffic, right? Now that's a very specific moment, and that's our benefit of the benefit. Leave work early, preferably at 4:30 p.m. Cool, so we have our first step, and now we can move on to the second one, and this is the comparison framework. And a comparison framework is basically the storytelling part of our ad, right? It's the tension, because you can't have a story without tension. And if you look at a lot of comparison ads, you'll notice that they all use a certain framework. For example, before and after, right, like this one, or problem versus solution. So all of, and you have 10 more frameworks here that are the most popular from what I've found. And let's see how we can implement those. So I, again, go to ChatGPT because I'm lazy, but you can also do it manually. And I say product, Zapier, benefit of the benefit, leave work early. And then I ask it to apply each one of those comparison frameworks. And here are my results. So I get 12 different options. And let's focus on the second one, us versus them. So I'm going to zoom in. And here's what we get. Them, people who don't use Zapier, right? They stay late and finish those last few tasks. And then us, people who use Zapier, and all the cool people, we let Zapier handle the busy work. So you're home before dark. And I really love this line because when I'm using ChatGPT, I'm not expecting it to write my copy, but I'm expecting it to give me something that would inspire ideas, that would help me come up with something new, with, for example, a visual. So that's a very visual line, right? Being home before dark is much more specific than less manual work. And this will be our third step, turning that into visual and copy. So I go to Adobe Stock and I write office building at night, and I find this bad boy on the right, and I add some copy, and here is our ad. Using Zapier, not using Zapier. But this is just the beginning, right? Because we also need to convert, so we also have the pitch part, and for that we're going to use the captions. So if you look at some of the best performing companies out there, you will see that they never waste their captions. They use every single character of this valuable real estate, right? They use it to mention their integrations, their setup time, their pricing, another call to action. It doesn't matter what you do with that, but it's important to use every single character of this important piece. So let's do that together. So first of all, we're gonna mention on the top the pain point, and the promise. So Friday, 10:37 p.m., and you're stuck updating your CRM, save up to 4 hours a week with no-code automation. Cool. Now we can also add a call to action. Automate your work. But we still have some space left, so I'm going to Zapier.com, and I'm going to find a few other interesting things. The integrations they have, some social proof, and pricing. And let's add that in as well. So connect 7,000 apps, load by Canva and Okta, and the pricing starting at $69 per month. And then we used this ad efficiently. We have the creative hook and the pitch in the captions. So this was our first ad, and let's sum it up real quick. So you find the benefit of the benefit using these prompts. You use one of the comparison frameworks, and then you make it visual and use the copy. And I also gave you some ideas here of how you can never waste your captions. Cool, so we have a few more minutes together, and let's do another recipe, if you're in. So the benefit of the benefit was interesting, right? But I feel like companies are always just talking about all the benefits, about how great they are. But at some point, people will just stop believing us if we brag all the time. So let's also talk about the downside of the benefit. Like this ad, for example, for noise-canceling headphones. So the benefit is that there's no noise, but the downside is that you die. So let's see if we can use that for B2B as well. So the first step is to pick a benefit. And this time, we already have the benefit from our previous step, right? Less manual work. Cool, so we're set. Then the second step is the and because of that technique. And this one is really simple and fun, and you can apply it to any product. So listen closely. So you have your manual tasks thanks to Zapier automation, right? That's our benefit, and we start with that. And then we just keep saying, and because of that, until we get to something a little bit more human, and until we find the downside. So let's keep going. And because of that, you don't have to work on the weekend. And because of that, you take a Sunday nap. And because of that, your kids sneak in and draw on your face, right? So we went from something practical to something personal. And now let's add a copy and a visual and see how it looks. So before Zapier automation, Ben used to spend Sundays at work. You're welcome, Ben. And yeah, this is our second ad. So this recipe is very simple. Pick a benefit, use the and because of that technique, asking yourself, what's the worst thing that can happen if you use the product, and add some visual and copy. So this was today's menu. We had comparison ads, chain reaction, that's our second recipe, And also for dessert, I left you a little bonus. So I created this Notion database for you. I'm sorry, Monday.com people. There is this presentation here, recipes and cheat sheets, all the AI prompts I've shown you, all the templates, and a bunch of ads I curated for you if you need some inspiration. On top of that, inside of that link that I'll give you in a second, I also have a link to my course. So if you enjoy these recipes, I have 31 more in my video course. And the course is called Boring Products, Fun Ads, and it's the only course for how to create fun ads for B2B products that stand out and outperform. So I really recommend checking it out with your team, by yourself, and here's the link. There's also an exclusive discount for the community members and everyone who's sitting here. Thank you very, very much.